Hey there and welcome to this video. So Kevin from the Skylabs YouTube channel, you know him, the guy with the measured Midwestern drawl and the extraordinary fixation with vintage hi-fi, recently decided to challenge a bunch of YouTube audio geeks at Hi-Fi Tag. So we threw out 11 questions and dared us to answer them. You know, the audacity really, it takes a certain kind of nerve to assume that we, incredibly busy and perpetually stressed YouTubers with our tight schedules and endless pressures, would drop everything to indulge in such a frivolous exercise. And all to satisfy your inflated sense of importance, no less. Now, I know Kevin from back when he was a nobody. He made a little video about vintage turntables or something, and he mentioned he was on the lookout for a Sansui SR929 from the late 1970s. Well, it just so happened that I had a nice one gathering dust on a shelf. So I figured, why not? I'll give him a break. Let's give that turntable a new home. So we made a deal. I packed that thing up like I was sending it to the moon, and off it went. And I hope you're still enjoying and appreciating that piece of audio history, Kevin. These days, the joke's on me. Kevin's Skylabs channel is soaring much higher than mine in popularity. But hey, maybe if I ride Kevin's coattails in a video, I'll catch a little of that Skylabs magic. You never know. And look, Kevin, I'm even wearing the Skylabs t-shirt you sent me. And when I washed it, it shrunk like 3 sizes. And now I could barely move or breathe in it right now. So I hope you appreciate that, young man. Okay, let's go. Number 1, name the first piece of gear that led you down the hi-fi rabbit hole. Well, the first piece of hi-fi gear I bought was back in high school. I saved up my money. Not an easy thing to do when the minimum wage was only $2.25 an hour, so I could get my hands on a Marantz receiver, Technics turntable, and some Hartley loudspeakers. Now, I wasn't trying to start a lifelong obsession or anything like that. I just wanted something that was better than my friends, so we could listen to our 1970s rock and new wave music. But then, something happened after I graduated college. I started making a little bit of money, and I found myself flipping through hi-fi magazines. And I started visiting local audio stores, just to look, of course. And that's when a salesman at a place called Sight and Sound in Morristown, New Jersey, Sight, downstairs, cameras, upstairs, hi-fi, introduced me to the Hafler DH110 and DH220 preamp and amp combo. And I didn't really have the money for it, but I had credit, and that was close enough for me at the time. And that purchase eventually led me to another store, Tech Hi-Fi, where my friend was working, and I picked up a pair of Ohm Walsh 2 loudspeakers and a Thorens TD166 Mark II turntable. And you know what? Even today, that's a pretty nice system, so yeah, that's how it all started. Number 2. Name the favorite piece of hi-fi equipment that you currently own. Well, that's a tough one. You know, I don't really do favorites. People ask me, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite movie? I have difficulty just picking one and saying it's my favorite. But if I had to pick something, it's probably my Magnapan 1.6 X loudspeakers that are behind me. Why? Because for the money I put into them, there's nothing I've encountered out there that comes close. And I've never seriously thought about replacing them. And that's saying something in my world. So yeah, maybe they're the closest thing I have to a favorite. But don't hold me to it. Number 3, name the product you bought that you regretted. Well, that's pretty easy. Most recently, Ohm sound cylinders. You know, I absolutely loved my Ohm Walsh 2 loudspeaker. So when I saw a pair of sound cylinders for sale locally at a bargain price, I figured, why not? Then I got them home and took a closer look. and I saw that the cabinets were actually, cylinder cabinets were actually made from heavy cardboard tubes with wood grain contact paper slapped around them. And the moment I hooked them up to an amplifier, I was stunned by how disjointed they sounded. There was plenty of treble, a bit of bass, and an insipid nothing mid-range. I couldn't sell those things fast enough. Horrible product. But just a few minutes ago, I just remembered what I owned before I bought that Hafler gear. I had an Onkyo TX35 receiver in the early 80s. It replaced the Marantz 225 receiver that I got as a teen. And I really dug its digital tuner with all the presets, and 45 watts per channel is way better than 25 watts, right? No, it wasn't. It was a weak garbage receiver that I quickly tired of. Number 4, if you could only use one song to demo your stereo system, what would it be? Well, mine changes all the time, and I have a big playlist. But, I was late to the game with the band Morphine from the 1990s. Yeah, I heard of them, but I never actually listened to their music. Then one day I'm rummaging through thrift store CDs, and I stumbled across the Morphine Cure for Pain CD for 50 cents. And I took it home, and I was actually floored by it. Here's this 3-piece band with just drums, a 2-string bass, vocals, and a saxophone player making incredible music. Nicely recorded as well. They only made 4 albums due to the sudden death of the lead guy, Mark Sandman. So, yeah, favorites change, but right now, Morphine's Buena is where it's at for me. Number 5, if money were no issue, what is your perfect system? I've always found those extravagant hi-fi systems at audio shows rather tiresome. They scream excess and pretension, and I've always preferred something more understated. Something that quietly reflects an appreciation for subtlety. So, if I were to indulge in a hi-fi setup, price no object, it would be something like a complete audio note UK system. It's not for the faint of heart. It's certainly not cheap, but it possesses an understated beauty and oral perfection that I can appreciate. It's a reminder that real sophistication often whispers rather than shouts. Number 6, if you had to choose one music format, what would it be? Records, of course. There's just something special about the experience of going to record stores and fairs, both locally and when I'm traveling. And it's not just about buying records. It's about the hunt and the experiences I get along the way. I'm really glad I got back into it 5 years ago. Streaming, with its soulless, ephemeral nature, feels like a hollow pursuit in comparison. It has its uses, certainly, perfect for the convenience of travel and background listening. But if that's all you're relying on for music, you're really missing out on something fundamental, in my opinion. Number 7, what's a stereo product that people love and you just don't understand? The answer to that is all too simple. Zoo audio loudspeakers. About 3 years ago, I stumbled upon a pair of Zoo Unions being sold locally for $500. Curiosity got the best of me, and I took them home, complete with the original boxes, thinking that perhaps I'd found something special. At first, they seemed promising. They were dynamic, even fun, with a certain energy that caught my attention. But as time passed, that initial excitement gave way to something else. A creeping annoyance, a sense of fatigue that settled in no matter how I paired them with tubes in solid state. It just didn't matter. I simply couldn't find comfort in their sound. And then there's my friend Ross, a hi-fi enthusiast neighbor, who went out and bought the Zoo Soul Supremes. And they're not inexpensive. They're big. And he had high hopes, believing they might be his endgame loudspeakers, the ones that would bring his search to an end. I personally was not impressed with how they performed in his room at all. And they didn't quite live up to his expectations either. So not that long after, he replaced them with a pair from Joseph Audio that he seems to be happy with. And this is just my experience. So if you love Zoo Audio speakers, then more power to you, but just don't be offended by what I say. Number 8, what's your next upgrade? You know, I'm pretty happy right now with how things are. I don't know, a solid state amp or a new DAC for my desk here. I keep my eyes peeled for interesting new products, and I regularly check out eBay and the local used listing, so you never know what I'll find. Number 9, a piece of equipment that you've kept in your system for looks alone. Well, obviously, one of the nicest looking receivers ever made is the Marantz 2270, and I had one for a few years, but with so many things, appearances can be deceiving. And to my ears, the sound of the 2270 was nothing special. It was middling at best. So I sold it, and much to my delight, I doubled my money. But, you know, through it all, I've held on to my Sansui 881 receiver. You know, some things just have staying power that transcends mere aesthetics. Number 10. The last piece of equipment that made you want to re-listen to your entire music collection. Well, when I bought my first Audio-Technica moving coil cartridge, I found myself agreeing with everything I'd read about them, how good they were, and about their advantages. And the design of the moving coil cartridge allows them to capture and convey the delicate intricacies of recordings with a finesse that moving magnet cartridges simply can't match. So I was compelled to pull out a lot of my favorite albums and give them a spin with the new cartridge. So yes, from my own experience, I can say they're well worth the extra expense. 11. What is an accessory that has come out recently that you can't imagine living without? Recently, not living without? Are they still coming up with new accessories? I've got plenty of accessories, but I wouldn't call them recently released. Most of my gadgets have been around for a while. But to answer your question, I would have to say the Wally Tool system. I've got the Wally Tool Skater and Wally Tractor, and I honestly can't imagine setting up a turntable without them. And they make the whole process more precise and eliminate a lot of the guesswork. Oh, and there's this little handheld vacuum I've got. It's perfect for dusting off turntables and tube amplifiers. So Kevin, those are my answers to your 11 compelling questions. And I have to say, I'm not sure it's the best idea to make this tag thing a regular occurrence. You see, the folks over in the vinyl community love doing tag videos because frankly, they're a bit short of ideas that aren't my top 5 Beatles / Steely Dan / Pink Floyd / Bob Dylan albums. And let's not even get started on those who think it's perfectly fine to play their record collections on $50 Crosley players because, as they say, it's all about the music, man. Anyway, now I suppose I'll have to break the news to Thomas over at Galleon that his video is going to be delayed because I was busy doing a tag video, and he's not going to be too happy about that, let me tell you. Anyway, everyone, if you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you did, you know what to do, and please subscribe if you'd like to see more, because you never know what's coming next. Bye.